We're not nice people sometimes, the British, because we have problems with traitors. And this is fact, isn't it? This is the Phil B. Blunt, Maclean, and a couple of others who betrayed a lot of secrets to the Soviets in the 1960s. A couple of them went to live over there. One of them got knighted, I think, for services in treason to the British people. Real, don't have to prove it. And then we get this lot. Well, we're all laughing, but these are the people at the moment controlling our lives. And they are absolute liars in everything they do. And why have I grouped these people together? Because all of these people have got Marxism, Trotskyism, Leninism, communism in their backgrounds. Have they? I don't think so. I think they are. I think these people are still communists because they are following a plan to establish a communist empire. But I was just talking fascist, but it's not a problem because they're both based on Marx. He used to spend holidays with some very dodgy people when he was sober. This man, criminal charges, I think. This man, he's in charge of our defence. So when I joined the Navy or other people joined the Army, I was vetted. Friends and close relations were asked questions. Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? Have you ever been a member of an extreme right-wing party? Have you ever committed adultery? Have you ever stolen anything? They go through your background, and if you've done anything too naughty, and certainly if I'd been a member of the Communist Party, I couldn't have joined the Navy. So how come this man is in charge of the armed forces? And is it any wonder that at the moment we're seeing the armed forces pulled apart? All of the supply and spares capability being dismantled, the territorial army units pulled apart, the regiments pulled apart. And where are the troops? They're not here. It's not the point they're in Afghanistan, and I'm not being unkind because they are over there fighting. They're over there fighting, so they're not in this country. So you will be aware we've already got armed police on our streets who have come through from France, Poland, and I think Germany. Here's Tony, not a nice man, and here's the Tories. And these are the guys clustered around Cameron at the moment to ensure that he pushes us into the European project. And what's he said? Well, if the other countries have signed up to the Lisbon Treaty, I don't have to give you a referendum. As John says, that's not democracy. So we know that if this man's elected, the same policy is going to continue. Sorry, that was 5 minutes, was it? Okay. I'm going to go really quickly because I just want to jump through a few things. Here's Ted Heath, key traitor, arch traitor, Mr. Hurd. Mr. Rifkin suddenly started to pop up on the news. Have you heard him? Isn't it interesting? Out of the box. This is Christopher Story's book. If you read it, it tells you how the Russians and the Germans have been working together since the end of the Second World War. Does it mean all Germans and Russians are bad? No. It's the people who control. This you've seen before, a document setting out how religion, family, security to be broken up. And this, which came out of Christopher Story's book, a lot more detail about how it would be done, culture, substitution of false cheap heroes. So this is a manuscript saying how the country is going to be attacked. Meaningless art. That's Basingstoke. Culture, cheap drink from Tessa Cohen. They're having a bad day at Tesco's. Churches being demolished. Your children are being taken away. You're not even allowed to go into the playground with them now because there's going to be a park warden. Did you see that in the paper? We've already got a police state because we've got an elite who are governing us, People are imprisoned without trial. They're now being put in psychiatric institutes. We've got the vexatious threat assessment team of the police. And I was shown a little article at the back that 2 days ago there's a new police team of 100 people with a budget of £9 million, which is going to track people like me, considered to be a potential threat to the government. And they're going to be photographing me, which is, well, it's up to them. So here's Westminster in a mess. Other people have seen it. This is a document written in 1979 by a lady called Kitty Little. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. But she pointed out that the country was being taken apart by subversion. It's an excellent booklet. She describes the lot. She didn't see common purpose, though. This one is the cuckoo. Every quango, every government department has now been politicised to help push the agenda through. So if you want to stop the tidal wave, start stopping the quangos. How do you stop them? They all waste your money. Complain. And look at the charities and look at common purpose. Now, you've seen her, but I want to show you something. This is Common Purpose, the international leadership charity helping people change the world. And that is the little thing by their door of their headquarters in London. How many of you have seen Harry Potter? Or some of it? And he goes from a station at one point off to Hogwarts, which is platform 10.5 or 7.5, is it? What is it? Okay, we've got a few things. Well, this is the equivalent, because you see this little door, this is the Common Purpose door. But it's really weird, because in the lobby there's nothing that says it's common purpose. There's just a fire door in a wall. Some days MI5 goes through it, some days it's a hobbit. It's odd, isn't it, that such a prominent charity should have such a non-prestigious front door. You've seen this. We've talked about engineering. Stick with that word, engineering society. I just want to come through. Here they are across the country. This is Julia Middleton. Her language, to me, is extreme right wing. Useful idiot, steamrolling over people. Getting a fifth column to do the dirty work. This book gives you an insight into her mind. We know they use neuro-linguistic programming, which is to interfere with your subliminal mind to get you into their way of thinking. Where did that sort of technique come from? It came through the Frankfurt School and the Tavistock Institute. And people like Colonel Rawlings-Rees were heavily involved in it. And the bad news is they're our people. We can't blame it on somebody else. They're just up the road. Police, well, they're waking up. We're now getting calls and information from people in the police. One police officer somewhere up north said to a colleague of mine, "We know about common purpose, they've already penetrated us." And that was quite interesting because the police are looking at it like we see it. Now this is an interesting one. Here's an immigration plot. Did you see it in the paper? A man blew the whistle that from 2000 Labour was going to allow a lot of people into the country. I'm not interested in what colour they were, it's just the mass coming in, because that puts pressure on us. But the word was socially engineer, radically change the country. Now, our border is controlled by a border agency, and recently they lost track of 40,000 people, as you do. And here's the lady in charge, Lynn Homer. Well, previously she was the chief executive from Birmingham City Council, and she had a few problems there, including election problems where they found boxes of uncounted votes. And eventually the job wasn't going very well, so she left. And she's also Common Purpose Advisory Board. So when you've been pushed out of a top job as a common purpose person, you've not made a good job, what happens to you? Well, let's look at her. She sat down next to somebody on the train, or somebody sat down, said their bag had been stolen. They thought it was asylum seekers. She set about telling the lady the incorrectnesses of such strong and inappropriate set of views. There wasn't human compassion, there wasn't concern, there wasn't comforting. She set to tell her that her views were wrong. So this is all out of the paper, I haven't made it up.